Good evening. This is Teen Senioritis' Milestone 1 video.
Hello, my name is Cody Borgia, and this is my sprint review. I'm currently in the editor because my team is polishing up all of their system integrations and things like that, and I actually have to leave for work shortly. So as soon as I get home tonight, I intend on making another video with the build video, but just for the sake of right now, this is what I can provide. So during this sprint review, I will be discussing the things that I worked on. The primary thing that I worked on was the actual level build itself. So as a level, I want to exist in scene to set the parameters of where the player can and cannot go. As a level aesthetic, I want to exist in scene to provide a more immersive and understandable experience for the player. We went with a steampunk theme. I thought that was kind of something that we were kind of thinking that with the design of our player anyways, and we know that our player is going to have some adaptations and things going forward, but we thought the steampunk theme was a very fun thing to play on. It's also something that we thought the aesthetic would be really cool to see with different hazards and how we could play with the steam itself and kind of give this like foundry presentation. So as you can see, I created these platforms. They have this nice steampunk cog aesthetic. I also have some steam particles. Those cause damage to the player. As damage, I want to inflict and affect the health of either the player or enemy, depending on the object that is damaging them and also the object being damaged. As a health system, I want to exist in scene as a way for the player character and also for the enemies to not only be injured but also to be killed in scene. I have also created various level hazards, so we have some spinning blades and things like that, and as level hazards I want to exist in the level as a way to make the level a little more difficult to traverse for the player. Some of the other things that I have added into the scene here are I do have a health pickup here, and as a health pickup I want to exist in scene in a way to provide the player some relief from being damaged by enemies and also to prevent death. And then next to this I also have an enemy character, and as an enemy I want to exist in scene as an opposing force to the player. I also carry a health system and a death event. I can cause damage in various different ways depending on which type of enemy that I'm going to be. So this particular one, we call him a walker, and basically he does kind of like a sprint attack when he is triggered. The other things that I have added, you can see like the backdrop and things like that. That's more just to create the more immersive experience here. Going through and looking at the way that this level is starting to come together, I can definitely tell that a lot of the influence in my level design came from a few different games that I kind of tested out to just see what we had available as far as concepts. And one of the ones that I drew from was Oddworld Soulstorm, which just recently released. And just the way that they kind of led the charge with, and we were very, very adamant about sticking to that 2.5D, but still making it a very fun experience for the player. And so it enticed me to kind of not think more like less in a linear fashion and much more in can the player go up on the Y? Can the player maybe possibly experiment with the three-dimensional space and drop them back to a different platform? Things like that you normally don't really see in a lot of these platformers. The reason why I'm discussing all of these different things that I've been working on right now without showing you them is because we have a short timer for each of the stages, and I don't want you to miss any of the things, and I don't want to have to speak tremendously fast for you to try to catch on to everything that we have going on in scene. So as I hit play, I will show you some of the things that I've included in here. I installed the player in here, and as a player I want to exist in scene as a way to represent the player themselves. And I have also included player movement, and as player movement I want to exist as a way for the player to traverse the map. and you can see, so I have the enemy moving, I'm causing damage, uh, and as the player's damage, as his health diminishes, you can see we have a death event where we have a damage overlay that comes through and signifies that the player has died. If the timer runs out, we also have a game over screen, and we will be installing a checkpoint system as well. Some of the other things that you'll notice, you'll see these little colliders here, which you wouldn't normally see in Scene, but basically what these are, I call them game cleaners, and if anything falls off of the platform, it removes them from Scene, which includes the player. It triggers a death event. Some of the other things, I worked with UI, and as a UI, I want to exist in Scene as a way to create a more fun user experience to help understand where certain floats are and where certain where what weapons are equipped and things like that. Uh, and then lastly, I wanted to talk about the amount of like post processing, lighting, materials, things like that that I put into this. I took a crash course on post processing and really trying to dive into how to make this game feel a lot more immersive and feel like you are in a Foundry type setting. So I hope you enjoyed my video. I appreciate you watching, and thank you. Have a good day.
I am unsure how to show you that the save is able to work since there are no enemies in the build at this moment of the video. However, the player prefs is set up inside of the code and will produce a log that will keep the score and produce the score at the end of the game when either the lose or win condition is met. A countdown will be in the middle of the canvas to keep the player informed about how much time they have for that particular wave of enemies in the game. As the win condition, I show the player that they have met all the conditions and have beaten the game. As the lose condition screen, I show the player they have lost the game when they died before the end of the countdown.
As a tutorial level, I prepare the player for what they are about to encounter in the game. For the player to gain understanding and how the portal weapon works, I must create a short introduction that will give an explanation on how to best use the portal weapon. A completion criteria: make a scenario that involves a situation that must use the portal weapon to advance and progress through the tutorial.
Hello, I'm Joseph Bonnie of Team Senioritis. And this is my Milestone 1 video for what I did. I worked on my level, but not very much. I did do some stuff. Uh, like I adjusted some the enemy spawn, and stuff like that in my level. And I added a enemy kill counter. So every time an enemy house reaches 0, it ticks a point and keeps track of it and adds it up. I don't know if we're gonna use that in the actual level. I know there were talks about it, which is kind of partially why I built it. But it's no big deal. Even if we just use it for my level, it's kind of cool to know how many enemies you killed, I guess. I think Melissa was using it in her save system, so that'll be cool to like keep track of, I guess, how many enemies you kill all together in the game, I guess. Uh, so that, yeah, I'll show you that now. What I worked on my level, I guess. So Melissa built this, I think, if I remember right. This load screen, which goes to each of our individual levels. And I I don't know if it's in the build anymore. Uh, but anyways, it works. So that's that. I didn't do that. I think Melissa did. But anyways, so as you can see, the enemies spawn, and I got them coming out of a couple different places, and you got an enemy killed counter up there. So every time you kill an enemy, it every time their health reaches 0, it ticks a point. It adds a point to the system. So I also got the health and the bullets and all that working, and all integrated, so that's cool. I added a skybox that rotates back there, which is kind of cool. So anyways, it still needs some work, but I have the main functionality of it working now, so that's cool. I still need win and lose conditions though, so like I said, it's not done. It's still a work in progress, but it's getting there. Anyways, then I had to work on some stuff for the actual level, like our actual level, because we actually redid basically the entire level. And it's completely different. So we got different character, different level, different everything. So I had to integrate uh, all my old things to work, like the weapon spawn from the crates to spawn on the new character properly, and there was a lot of adjustments and things that had to be made to make that work properly. Um, so I did that, and that was a lot of tinkering around and minor adjustments to prefab um, things just to make it work with the new character prefab like transform positions and stuff. Uh, but I made so integrations to new level of old things. So as a new level and character was created, things changed. With these changes come integrations and adjustments to old functions and mechanics to make them work properly. These things need to be reworked and readjusted to work with the new version. So uh, I worked on everything that I needed to work with, like the crate pickup and the weapon adjustments, like I said. And I also built a checkpoint system, but I was told in before to only showcase one thing at a time. So I also just worked on this. So we lost a teammate last month, unfortunately, and he was the one that actually built this, Jeffrey, and I had to go in and figure out. It was pretty easy, but I had to go in and figure out how to get this to go to the new level, instead of the old level. So I did that, and I got that to work now. So when you hit play, it goes to the new level. There's also audio, but I muted it so you can kind of hear me. Hopefully, hopefully it worked this time. Last time it didn't mute for some reason on the video. But anyways, so um, I have respawn, and I don't have it tied to the player health yet because I wasn't sure which we were still in discussions of which health, like how we're gonna work the health system. He does have health and damage, but I didn't tie it to that yet. Um, but he does respawn when you hit R. So like he's at this checkpoint, so when you respawn, that's where he'll go. And it's easy enough to tie into health because I made it a method. So you just call the method of respawn. If their health, if his health equals 0, I just have to put it. Um, but anyways, I also did the weapon spawn, the crates. So like he's got a weapon, and that's the machine gun. It looks like. Yep. So that's the machine gun. Oh, I forgot. It does that if you take too long. But anyways, so you saw the weapon. I'll kind of show you again in the next section also. Um, because I did build the checkpoints like I was talking about. So they are somewhere. Um, checkpoints and respawn areas. So as our game expands, because it's expanding, like I said, we made it different now. So it's more about it's going to be a lot bigger than the original. So we figured that people would want checkpoints because you don't want to go all the way back to the start if it's so big. So as our game expands in the level and the levels have progressed and gotten larger, we need checkpoints so that the player does not get frustrated having to go all the way back to the beginning of the game or level. Checkpoints will solve this issue. So then as a checkpoint, I need to store information in transforms to update the current checkpoint as the player progresses through the level. So then I got make checkpoints, make checkpoint manager. That's what keeps track of it. It's just empty in the level that updates which checkpoint you hit last, and get player to respawn in the proper spot, and that ties into the checkpoint manager. So I kind of showed you that, but I did make two of them just so you can see that they work. So go back through this and go to that. So as I said, you got more weapons. Like there's a shotgun type weapon, I think. And then this is another weapon that he has an option for, and it shoots in the. So there was a lot of adjustments to be made. Anyways, I think I hit the other spawn points. So if I hit R, then I'll respawn there. So then if I do go back, it goes off which checkpoint you hit last. So, um, and like I said, I don't have it tied into enemy health yet, unfortunately, but it will be easy to integrate to do that. But it does work. Uh, and the weapons work now, so that's cool. So that's kind of what I did. Uh, this this milestone, I guess. Um, so then you hit that, and so then this is the respawn. And you go over here and you hit this one, so then that's the respawn. So yeah, but sorry, my mic cut out. But anyways, thank you for listening, and yeah, that's my video. Thank you.